The eulogy exercise, a way to find direction in life. Hi, my name is Luke Vu, clinical psychologist, mental health expert, helping young men overcome digital addiction, depression, and anxiety. Today, we're going to talk about writing your eulogy might be just one of those things that gives you perspective and direction for when you feel lost. Quick disclaimer, I'm not your psych, this isn't treatment, and if you need a psych, you should find a registered, qualified psych in your area. Yes, this might come off as a straight morbid thing to do, but hear me out. Let's first understand the context here before we actually get to the exercise. Why is it tough for young adults to know where to go in life? There are hundreds of reasons why young adults find it hard to know where to go in their life. Moving away from the standard criticism from former generations versus some of the unique existential challenges that were created by some of those critics in the first place. Let's focus on the 4 psychological factors felt by this generation that are likely to be faced more than their predecessors. The paradox of choice. One of the most common complaints about life direction is the endless possibility of directions you can take. Social mobility is a good thing, but having too much choice and not knowing how to deal with it can feel pretty paralyzing. You have to define for yourself your role and your sense of purpose. Again, having the autonomy to choose what is important to you and what you want to be is in general a good thing. Now, figuring it out when there are endless choices is the first difficult part.
Think? Oh, heavens no, not the green one. Pull anyone but the green one.
Now, sometimes it's worth accepting that you have to limit your choices in order to make a choice. Assuming you should know your purpose or meaning. The subjective experience of knowing your purpose and having meanings is sold as this clearly identifiable long-term mental state. I don't think this is the case at all. Meaning involves some degree of chosen and deliberate hardship and payoff. And early on in your life, understanding what this feeling is without some basis of comparison is going to be hard. You can assign a mission or purpose or choose one for yourself. But if you rely on the positive emotions only from doing that thing that you choose, then you're unlikely to find whatever you're doing meaningful. The reality is feeling something is meaningful requires hardship. Excessive social comparison through social media. Now, social media isn't inherently a bad thing, but when you're not feeling so great about yourself is when it can often suck. You probably find yourself constantly comparing your life to others, and you'll feel left behind and missing out on something. So accept that the race is in your mind and how you choose to view others. It really isn't a race. It really isn't. Now let's use a swimming pool metaphor. If you watch any 2 swimmers in their lane, it might appear like it's a race from the sidelines. But what if they're just swimming laps, just to better themselves or to have fun? What seems to be like a race is really just in your mind. Sometimes we assume the race is between us and our friends, but are we really competing? Are you all going to agree on the same finish line? The fact is your careers, your relationships, and even your deaths aren't something a race framework is even helpful for. So let's ditch the pool analogy and go with the ocean one. We're all swimming in this ocean of life, not a pool of lanes. You can make a choice to swim to any direction you please, or you can choose to float and chill out for a bit. Pleasure isn't purpose. Don't mistake pleasure with purpose. More often than not, sometimes the start of your meaningful pursuits are filled with difficulty, but just because it's tough doesn't mean it's not worth pursuing. Don't get lost in doing things that are just easy. It takes time to get good at something, and that's just part of the journey. The mistake would be in choosing something just because it is easy. Easy doesn't equate to purpose, and we'll get to that soon. Is there such thing as the right answer? This is tricky, but there's a right for you as judged by you now, and a right judged by your future you. Should I finish my law degree? Should I drop out of med school? Should I leave my partner? It's hard to have a guarantee for the best decision, and even if it might be an objectively clear decision due to safety or risk concerns, it can still feel very difficult, except that you won't know for certain what the right choice is. Feeling that you must know this 100% isn't a kind standard for you to have for yourself anyway. Accept that any choice you decide will be filled with its own kind of regrets. It's normal. It's your brain trying to evaluate and assess and honor the loss of the potential outcomes of your other choices. Ultimately, there isn't any choice that is wrong if you're able to learn from it. Ask yourself if you're pursuing something that serves all versions of future you or only the you of today. How do I know when to push my boundaries? Your comfort zone is when there's an absence of anxiety. You're familiar, there aren't any threats, it's predictable, and there isn't any risk. By itself, your brain will always recalibrate things you encounter and manage successfully so that it feels familiar, unthreatening, and even automatic. But this also means you're not learning anything and gaining anything over time. And if you're so used to that feeling, your tolerance for things that are uncertain, unpredictable, or novel decreases. It's hard to personally grow in your comfort zone because by definition, everything is familiar and predictable. If your values are lined up right, you should have a sense of when something is good for you but has an element of risk. The person that you wanted to ask out on a date, the job promotion you think you should apply for, saying no to someone's unreasonable request. These things feel uncomfortable, daunting, and scary, but there's a part of you that understands that it's good for you to do so. So when there's that feeling, when you know it will be good for you, even if it's uncomfortable now, that's the time to stray from your comfort zone and push yourself. Now, sometimes patients have trouble identifying the things that they want to do or figure out what's really important to them. Sometimes they just lose contact with what's truly important. And so this is when we bring up the eulogy exercise. Let's do this together. And now pause the video if you need to, sit in a comfortable position, use headphones or sit in a quiet area if you need to minimize the distractions around you, and play this when you're ready. Ready? So here it goes. Close your eyes. Imagine that you're at your own funeral. Imagine that you lived a good life. Imagine the 3 people that will come up to say something. Imagine in every detail what they will say about you. And open your eyes. Now think about the following. What did they say? How did they describe the life that you lived? What did it feel like to hear them describe you? And if you had died today, what differences would they say? And how would you spend your time differently? It's an open-ended exercise. There isn't a right or wrong answer, and it's used to explore what's important, who is important, and encourage a reflective view of your life. Now that we know what we want in our eulogy, what do we do next? Once you have identified the values that are important in your life, with family, with friends, passion, creativity, career, or whatever that is to you, think about the smallest thing you can do to help you move in that direction. If you seem to be having trouble doing this by yourself, a psychologist can guide you through and help you articulate what it is that you truly want. A psychologist can also help you evaluate the pros and cons and make a sustainable plan. Sometimes we get caught up with the big, bold, dramatic change, and often at the cost of other things. So have a sustainable long-term plan that takes care of you now and into the future. As we come to a close for this video, here are 3 simple tips I have found resonated best for the patients that I've treated. Find your passion. If you don't invest the time in finding out, how would you know? It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be your career. It can be a sport, a club, your religion, or any hobby. Think about how you can fund or sustain this passion without being financially dependent on it. How can you keep doing this even as your life continues to change? Balance and mindfulness. Are your thoughts caught up in the past or in the future? Can you practice appreciating the moment? And can you capitalize on the opportunities around you without impairing the other areas of your life? Simple is better. Live simply first. Do the small things. Are you a good parent, child, sibling, friend, and partner? Are you making regular time to master your passions, improve your health, improve your diet? Sometimes we get caught up with our big decisions that we forget all the little ones that help us make those big ones. I hope this helped you understand how to navigate the feeling of being lost and a little tool to help you manage it. And if you found this useful, don't forget to hit subscribe. I'm Luke Du. Be kind, be you. Catch you next time.